Hi, I'm Dave from boyinaband.com, and today I'll be teaching you how to use the vocoder effect on the XFX Ultra. I'm afraid it is exclusive to the Ultra, so if you're only in the possession of a standard, perhaps you can just do an impression of a Dalek and hope for the best. But for those of you who are Ultra owners, come on in and learn how to do the authentic version. A vocoder is a device that takes one sound, called the carrier, in this case the guitar, and then modulates it by another sound called the modulator, in this case our voice. This makes that cool robotic sound you might have heard if you ever saw an episode of Transformers with Soundwave in. So, to start, we'll need a mic going into the axe as well as our guitar. Plug in the mic through the preamp into input 2, the effects loop on the back. The preamp is really important or your mic won't be loud enough to yield decent results. Make sure your mic is turned up on the input 2 level on the front of the Ultra as well. So once that's all sorted, make sure you're on the bypass mode, which is right at the end, number 383 on the Ultra by default, and go to layout mode, move in one, and create an amp. We're just going to put it on something like brown face for now. So edit, move to the type, and then brown face. Now let's create a cab. So back to layout, move along one with the nav buttons, scroll to cab, enter, and the default settings are fine for now. I'm just showing you the basics. You can edit the tone once you've got your robot voice sorted. Next, we're going to make a mixer. This is a vital part of the signal chain for a vocoder. It'll mix the guitar and the mic together. The way the axe manages this is that we're going to pan the guitar to one side, then the mic to the other side, and the vocoder splits the stereo so one side is the carrier and the other is the modulator. Pretty clever, huh? But yeah, we'll sort that out in a second. Now we need that mic input. So we're going to move to row 3, move down with the nav buttons and move across just under the amp, and we're going to create an effects loop. This block sends whatever input is coming into the effects loop, inputs on the back of the XFX, to the right of the block. In this case, it's going to be our voice it's sending in. Next, a compressor is in order to even out the volume of our vocals. So, create it. Link it up to the effects loop by pressing Enter while you're highlighting the effects loop. And Enter again. That automatically connects it to the compressor. Now in the compressor, press Edit to open it up. We're going to go to page 2 and change the ratio to a nice and high value of about 10. So everything is really squashed. The attack and release we're going to take down to about 0. So it's more of a limiter than a compressor, making sure the level changes as soon as the sound comes into it. Then to compensate for any loss in volume, increase the level by about 5 decibels. Now we're going to go back to the layout screen and we're going to route the compressor into the mixer. Make sure the compressor is highlighted, then press Enter, move to the mixer, and press Enter again. Simples. You should be able to hear both your voice and the guitar through the axe at this point. Next, we're going to pan the signals as I mentioned before. So open up the mixer with the Edit button, and go to Balance 2, which is the guitar, and turn it completely to the left. And Balance 3, which is the mic, completely to the right. Now it's time to create what we've all been waiting for, that vocoder block. So back to the layout screen. Move across one from the mixer, and create a vocoder. Make sure it's after the mixer, and then open it up with Edit. And make sure In Cell, which is Input Select, is set to left if it isn't already. This means that the left channel will be the carrier. Now, if you play the guitar and speak at the same time, you'll be rewarded with some sweet vocoder goodness. One thing to bear in mind at this point, if your carrier signal has more of a harmonically rich tone to it, the voice will be a lot easier to distinguish in the final vocoded form. So you might want to try a high gain amp or even a synth. I'll just show you how by changing the amp to something nice and high gain like Rectone Nu, we can make it a much more clear vocoding tone.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Yep, I'm vocoding right now.
If the vocoder isn't quite loud enough, boost the level on it or add another compressor after it to just bring it up to a decent level. I'll show you how to boost the level. Navigate to it, edit to open it up, then right at the end, just move that level up. And also make sure that mix is on 100%, just so nothing else comes through except for the vocoder. You can see I've got it on 100% right now. If you take it down, you can start to hear the original signal of the voice as well. Now, let's talk about some of the parameters in the vocoder that you can use to turn yourself into anything from a chipmunk into a mangled robotic mess. On page 1 of the vocoder, we've got a few different options. We've already talked about in-cell. Bands, which is the next one, determines how many frequency bands the signal is modulated by. If you scroll across a few pages, you can see all the bands available. And these allow you to change how much different frequencies modulate the sound. So, if you wanted a higher pitched modulation, simply take the lower frequencies down. Check it out. If we keep the low frequencies there,
Vocoding goodness.
then if we take them out,
Vocoding goodness.
see, much more high pitched. You can also get some strange tones if you would just allow one random band to stick up quite high as well. Check it out.
Vocoding goodness.
So experiment and see what tones you can get out of it. Next up we've got, if we go back to the first page, frequency min. This determines the frequency of the lowest band, and frequency max determines the frequency of the highest band. With this and the frequency min, you can alter the range of frequencies that modulate the carrier signal. Next up we've got resonance.
This defines the bandwidth of each band. So you can get a more metallic sound with the higher amounts. And a more fuzzy electronic sound with the lower ones.
Next up we've got shift.
This allows you to shift the pitch of the bands, meaning you can turn yourself into a chipmunk with the higher bands just like this, if you want to be a chipmunk. And if you turn it down, you can turn yourself into an even lower form.
On the next page, we can see we've got this high pass mix in.
Since the higher frequencies are the most intelligible part of the voice, this makes the vocoding more understandable. As it gets higher, you can hear it starts to be more intelligible. So more intelligible, less intelligible.
After that we've got the attack, which defines how long it takes for the vocoding to kick in. And then the release, which defines how long it takes for the vocoding to fade out. So if we turn that up,
we can get some crazy overlapping sounds with this. For instance, that really crazy.
and the last one I'll tell you about is freeze.
If you turn this one on, it allows you to freeze the current band that's going through.
This can result in a strange guitar tone depending on what the frequency response was at the time. A T or an S sound makes a fizzy kind of tone, while a vowel sound is more muffled. And there you have it, the basics of vocoding. Try adding in some delay, reverb, and play with different high gain and synth tones to see what crazy sounds you can create. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you next time.